Have you ever noticed that some people can use dating apps casually, swipe a little, chat a bit, log off, while other people feel completely consumed by them? Checking matches first thing in the morning, feeling anxious when no one responds, or deleting the app only to reinstall it later. Today, I want to argue this isn't about self control or dating app addiction, it's about attachment. I'm Dr. Alex J. Holt, and today on Social Psychology Now, we're breaking down what research says about attachment styles and dating app use, including who uses dating apps more, who's more likely to use them problematically, and why these apps hit some people so much harder than others. Now, if you check your phone, see what time it is, it looks like it's time to learn. So let's get started. Dating apps aren't just tools for meeting people, they're emotional environments. They combine uncertainty, intermittent reinforcement, social evaluation, and constant access to potential connection. From a psychological perspective, that makes them perfect for activating attachment systems. And researchers have started noticing this. In fact, a recent Prisma-based systematic review examined every peer-reviewed study that looked at attachment styles and dating app use, and the patterns are remarkably consistent. So let's start with a quick refresher. Attachment theory suggests that we differ among two main attachment dimensions, including attachment anxiety, which is the extent to which someone fears rejection or abandonment, have a need for a reassurance, as well as having emotional reactions to relationship cues. So if you score high in that, you're going to have a high fear of rejection or abandonment, a high need for reassurance, and a strong emotional reaction to relationship cues. Whereas we have attachment avoidance, which relates to discomfort with closeness, preference for independence, and the use of emotional distancing strategies. So if you score high in that, you're more prone to those specific behaviors. If you score lower in that, you're going to be less prone to those behaviors. If you have low anxiety and low avoidance, you're going to be conceptualized as having a secure form of attachment. And these patterns don't just shape our offline relationships, they shape how we interact with technology that promises connection, which includes dating apps. So let's start with basic use. Across multiple studies, anxiously attached individuals are more likely to use a dating app, they're more likely to use them more frequently, as well as they're more likely to check them more often, which collectively this makes sense. For someone high in attachment anxiety, dating apps offer immediate access to potential reassurance, visibility of interest through matches, and a way to reduce uncertainty, at least temporarily. Avoidantly attached individuals is where things get a little bit interesting. Some studies show they are less likely to use dating apps at all, which would make sense because if among dismissive, avoidant individuals, they tend to not want relationships in the first place. However, other studies have shown that they do use them, but they use them differently. So avoidant users tend to prefer less emotionally demanding platforms, as well as more instrumental or controlled interactions. So it's not that avoidants don't use dating apps, it's that they use them on their own terms. Now let's talk about why people use dating apps. Research consistently shows that anxious attachment is linked to seeking reassurance, wanting companionship, wanting to boost one's self-esteem, as well as to regulate one's emotions. In other words, dating apps become a way to manage emotional distress. One study even found that anxiously attached individuals endorse nearly every possible motivation, which includes relationship seeking, social approval, curiosity, entertainment, and to forget an ex. This helps explain why anxious users are often pulled back in, even after negative experiences. Avoidant users show a different pattern. They're more likely to use apps for convenience, escapism, ease of communication, and low commitment interaction. In some cases, avoidant attachment is linked to behaviors like ghosting, emotional disengagement, and romantic disillusionment. Dating apps allow avoidant users to connect without vulnerability, which can feel safer, but also more hollow over time. Here's where things get especially important. Several studies examine problematic dating app use, which is use that starts to look like a behavioral addiction. This includes symptoms such as loss of control, mood modification, withdrawal, and conflict with daily life. So who is more at risk for problematic dating app use? I can't hear you. That's correct. Anxious attached adults show the strongest and most consistent link with problematic dating application use. They're more likely to use dating apps compulsively, feel distress when unable to check them, experience mood swings tied to matches and messages. But this also matters. Avoidant attachment also shows up here. Some students found that avoidant attachment was linked to problematic dating app use driven by escapism, depressive symptoms following use. So problematic dating use isn't just about needing closeness, it's also about avoiding it in emotionally costly ways. Now, for the 55 to 60% of you watching this who have a secure attachment, you're probably wondering, what about me? Well, secure attachment tells us a very different story. Secure users tend to use dating apps more intentionally. They show lower levels of problematic use, and they experience fewer emotional highs as well as fewer emotional lows. They're not immune to disappointment, but dating apps don't dominate their emotional lives. In research terms, secure users consistently fall into what scholars call regulated use cluster. That doesn't mean dating apps work better for them. That means that dating apps have less power over them. What does this tell us? First, dating app behavior isn't random. It reflects how we regulate emotions, how we seek reassurance, how comfortable we are with closeness and uncertainty. Second, if dating apps feel especially draining or consuming, it's not a personal failure, it's a psychological pattern interacting with powerful technology. And third, understanding that attachment gives us leverage. Not to fix ourselves, but to use these platforms more intentionally. If you're high in attachment anxiety, notice when you're using the apps to regulate your mood and stop the behavior when you notice that. Pay attention to reassurance-seeking cycles. Build in intentional stopping points. So maybe you only swipe during certain hours of the day, or maybe you only do so many swipes. If you're high in attachment avoidance, notice distancing behaviors like ghosting or emotional numbing. If you notice these behaviors, stop. Ask whether app use is helping connection or avoiding a connection. And if you're secure, congratulations. All kidding aside, your patterns matter, especially with long-term well-being. So if you're securely attached, you're probably going to be using things intentionally. Just make sure you keep on keeping on. Now, if this video resonated with you, you might want to check out our episodes on fear of missing out and relationship social comparison. Or if you want a refresh of the 4 attachment styles, we have videos for that as well. We'll have that up right above top of the screen. If you found this helpful, please like the video, subscribe to Social Psychology Now, and let me know in the comments, do dating apps amplify your attachment style, or do you feel like they change it? As always, I'm Dr. Alex J. Holte, and I will see you next time on Social Psychology Now.